So hi everyone. I just wanted to give a brief intro to what this video is going to be about before we get started. I have Jen Stone here, and she is going to help us understand how Feng Shui and BaZi can help us on our journey with love and romantic partnership. Now, Jen here is trained and apprenticed with world-renowned Feng Shui and BaZi teacher Grandmaster Lo, and represents the Raymond Lo School of Feng Shui and Destiny, Hong Kong. She teaches a 5-day Feng Shui and BaZi practitioners training program in the US and overseas. In 2016, Jen was awarded the prestigious title of Accredited Feng Shui Master by Asia's International Feng Shui Association, making her the first and only professional to hold the title in North America. Wow. She is also the author of the book, The First Guide of Feng Shui Enthusiasts, right here, and it's available on Amazon. I've read it. I love it. It's all highlighted. and she publishes a triannual magazine called Feng Shui Journal. It's also right here. I think this is the latest one. And founded the International Feng Shui Association USA chapter in 2018. Wow, Jen, that is a lot. You are accomplished.
Busy.
Bravo. Yeah, very busy. So just to jump right in, Jen, for the people who are watching that are unfamiliar with Feng Shui, could you please explain what is Feng Shui?
So we're talking about classical Feng Shui, which is an ancient Chinese modality that was invented over 5,000 years ago. And to just put it very simply, Feng Shui essentially is just a tool that we can use to help us understand the energetic qualities of our physical environment. And so once we can identify, what are our strongest points and our weakest points, then we can, in some ways, manipulate our surroundings so that we can either harness the good energy and use that to enhance our lives, and in this particular case, to enhance our love lives, and also to identify where are the weak points so that we can learn and try to divert that into other areas of the home.
Thank you. And then how can Feng Shui help us in attracting love and romantic partnership?
Well, I think that we can look at our physical homes, our homes or office spaces, but particularly our houses as a container. Mm-hmm. In Chinese metaphysics, we always talk about first is destiny, and then second is man, and then third is Feng Shui. And it does show up as a hierarchy in that Feng Shui is number 3. But Feng Shui is really, if you want to think about it simply, it's the container that holds all of our dreams together. And so when you can apply Feng Shui appropriately, and if that is what you're desiring in life, you can use the techniques of Feng Shui to identify how is this home, how is my container supporting that aspect in my life.
So you said destiny, man, and what was the third one?
Feng Shui.
Feng Shui, because I thought that was, and that's synonymous with environment, our home, yes, our outside as well, landscape.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And I remember when I took your Feng Shui class, you came to San Francisco. You talked, are these the 3 pillars of luck that you talked about?
Yes, this is heaven luck,
mm-hmm,
man luck, and earth luck. So do you want me to explain that? I think.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. So, when you grow up in a Chinese family, it is sort of inherent in their culture to understand the hierarchy of the influences in life. And nowhere in part does it really touch on religion or spirituality, because that is a very personal choice. But we're just talking about the cosmic energy that sort of, come and go, influences our life just like it influences nature. And so the first part is heaven luck. And heaven luck is talking about your destiny, in a way, the things that are fixed. And what are some things that are fixed is, for example, your birthday. And so we are gifted with the knowledge of BaZi, which is another modality that we use in tandem with Feng Shui to help us understand the energetics of people. And so a lot of times of what is showing up in your life, what is manifesting, whether that's love opportunities showing up, for example, you can use your birthday to understand the timing of that. And so when the presentation of the opportunity for love will show up. And so Chinese people, as much as they go gaga over Feng Shui, they're just as enthusiastic about BaZi because it's so tangible. It's talking about your human experience. And so it also helps us understand the cycle of life, the ups and the downs. And so that's heaven luck. And then through heaven luck, we understand what are our potential and inherent strengths and where are our weaknesses. And so we can make the necessary adjustment. And then the second part is talking about man luck. And man luck is talking about you, your free will. And so there is, as much as, BaZi and Feng Shui can be used as a forecasting technique in terms of understanding the future, there is still an element of mystery to all of it because we honor free will, man's ability to make his own choices. And so when we're talking about understanding a person's love opportunities presented, it's still up to the individual to make the decision on whether or not they want to embark and to capitalize on that opportunity. And so that's man luck. And then the third one is talking about earth luck, and earth luck is Feng Shui, which is our physical environment, both our internal space and our external space.
Thank you. Thank you. And as somebody works on themselves and uses different modalities to help their own, character building and to help them kind of revise their beliefs and identity, how does that play into BaZi and how kind of what's already like predestined or kind of what's already been mapped out? How does that influence it?
I mean, I think in BaZi, it in a way you can look at your natal chart as a blueprint. My teacher, Grandmaster Lo, often talks about our birthday as like a book. When you were born, you're like a book and you have a story to tell. And, it's often described as a sort of blueprint in terms of what your path will look like. And I think that when you implement the man part in terms of your intentions and your sort of you elevate it to your consciousness to say, how do I want to capitalize and optimize my life for prosperity, for love, for happiness, whether that's through NLP or physical therapy or counseling or meditation and yoga. There's so many different aspects to that to help you so that when that opportunity does show up, you're in a place where you can be more, I guess I should say more,
I know what to say. I think I know. Correct me if you're thinking something else, but more in alignment with what it is you consciously want in, let's say, a relationship.
Yeah, because in BaZi, it will tell you when the love opportunity shows up. But if you haven't worked on yourself, for example, or you have past hurts, or you're carrying a lot of fear, then you may not be able to optimize in the best type of relationship, even though that presentation is there. And so I think that a big part of it is man does have a lot of power. And I think that you can use BaZi and Feng Shui as well as all the other different modalities to empower you to really elevate your energy into a point where you can truly, accomplish your goal.
Definitely. I know that as I've been growing in my practice and doing work and trying different things here and there, I'd actually worked with a client and we did Feng Shui in her home. And what we noticed was that like when we changed the elements around and balanced things out, I didn't have the tool of BaZi at the time, but she was attracting partnerships into her life when we shifted the energy in her environment, or earth, I should say. And what we noticed was that in addition to she was attracting in the beginning these toxic partnerships, and she was attracting men that were cheating on her. And so what we did was we took one of the tool sets I use is Transformational Nlp. And what we did there was we looked at the beliefs. There are conscious beliefs that we have and unconscious beliefs that we have. And with this tool, we look at those unconscious beliefs because those are the ones that are kind of manifesting our reality, so to speak. And these beliefs are created when we're little ones, depending on how our primary caregivers treat us, what we learn from them as okay behavior. And also our brain, what it learns to survive, it continuously looks for in its life means of surviving in that way because it knows it can survive in that way. So for instance, with her mother didn't treat her that well. She had a mother that was very toxic. had bursts of anger, and this little one associated love with that. And she also experienced her father cheating on her mother when she was little. Again, we uncovered this in the session. And what we learned was that there was similar structure in what she survived as a little one to what she manifested and created as an adult woman in her relationships. Now here she is as an adult attracting men that are cheating on her, because that's what daddy did to mommy, and that's what she learned. And so what we also learned was that there was a lot of, like in another session we did, there was a lot of fear, because what she wanted consciously was to be a mother and to have a family of her own and to have this healthy relationship. And what she learned later in another session was that there was a lot of fear around being a mother because of the way her mother had treated her. So we can work with these unconscious beliefs, these hidden beliefs, and revise them so that when, the energies are primed for us, according to the BaZi, and we change our environmental luck, we can have all these elements working for us. So we can attract that relationship that is what we truly want in this lifetime, what we consciously want. So I really see like these tools coming together are really powerful.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's a great example of how when you incorporate these different modalities together, it can be such a powerful opening for the people who are seeking for those things in their life. And oftentimes, as myself, as a professional, when I come in and work with people, I am the interpreter for their BaZi and for the Feng Shui, but I am not them, and so I don't have additional modalities in terms of what they need to help them with their man luck, so to speak. Some people, they seek Reiki healing, they have meditation, they do counseling or NLP, and I think that is such an important incorporation as a tool to help people live better and happier lives. So
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And there's another tool that I found. It's called Family Constellations. And so for people who do the counseling and the therapy and whatever modality, if things are not shifting and they've done the NLP, because NLP, when we get to those unconscious beliefs, like I mentioned, can really start to shift things. There's another tool that I've learned that has just been such a powerful tool in my life, and it's called Family Constellations. And what this does is it shifts the energetic entanglements that as a human, we take on the pain of our ancestors or our parents as a way of saying, I love you unconsciously. So somewhere up the family line, if somebody, and this is like a little quick story I'll share, there was a man that had up the family line, the grandfather had fallen off a horse and broke his neck and became a quadriplegic. So 3 generations later, there's a man who's riding a motorcycle who gets into an accident and breaks his neck and becomes a quadriplegic. Now, this is all unconscious. We're not aware of it. And it's like a way of saying, I love you to those people upstream because they gave us life. Now, this is one example, but it shows up in many different ways, and it can show up with love too. If someone up the family system has lost love or couldn't be with somebody because of arranged marriages or whatever, this can show up for the current day individual in this time and space. So it's another way of shifting that energy as well that is just kind of entangled with our family system. Yeah. And again, another very powerful tool.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's so cool. I love this work. I love metaphysics.
I love the brain. I love the operation of the brain, as well as understanding, as much as we say metaphysics, I mean, a lot of it too is entangled with science,
Totally.
and a lot of it is so natural within us, but it's so awesome that we have these tools that are essentially built in a way that can help us understand and articulate so that we can, maneuver our lives accordingly.
Yeah. Well said. I love that. So in addition to classical Chinese Feng Shui, you do BaZi readings. So we talked about that briefly. Could you please explain how a BaZi reading works and how you use it as a tool?
So we have, when you do a classical Feng Shui evaluation, we often do BaZi as well, because like I said earlier, so much of what is manifesting in your life, I think that the lay people, how they understand Feng Shui is they often put the blame, the
Mhm.
blame on Feng Shui. For example, oh, I'm having relationship issues or I'm having health issues, must be something wrong with my Feng Shui. Although that can be in part correct, a lot of it actually stems from your BaZi. And so when we come in and evaluate a person's space, like what Grandmaster Raymond Lowe often says, Feng Shui is not to help the house be happy. Feng Shui is to help us help the people be happy inside the house. And so how you do that is you have to put the people aspect and the space together. So Feng Shui is a tool that helps us understand the house, and BaZi helps us understand all the individuals that live inside that house and how they would energetically react to their spaces. And so BaZi essentially, helps us understand kind of the ups and downs of their cycles, what types of opportunities might be showing up, are their goals in alignment with what is showing up in their charts, so that we can manipulate their internal spaces to help them optimize or to manage whatever it is that they're experiencing at that time. But BaZi is so fun in a way, because I have a lot of clients that just want BaZi without necessarily having to do a full Feng Shui consultation. And it's amazing to think that your birthday, the year, the month, the day, the time, and the location of your birth can already reveal so much about your life. And not just from a love aspect. I mean, it can tell you a lot of information in terms of your health condition. What are you susceptible to? When are your imbalances, your career prospects? And I often use BaZi when people are interested in new partners, for example, whether that's in a personal sense, trying to understand the dynamic of your marriage, understanding the dynamic of your children, but also in business when you have a business partner or a new potential partner that's coming into the venture. And so BaZi essentially literally translates to mean 8 characters, because we convert your birthday into 8 Chinese characters. And in these 8 Chinese characters, it can already tell you a myriad of things. And so the potential is limitless. And, and I do work a lot with clients that come specifically for guidance on love, whether they're single, trying to understand what is the timing of that, or they are in a relationship, how to better communicate with one another. How can I better understand where my partner is at, so I know my role in it? And also, it can reveal to you the timing of things. And, if you're having some struggles, you can see whether it is something that's just a temporary hiccup, a little bit of a painful growth, or you can see if a couple might be growing apart a little bit. But like I said, BaZi is not necessarily a magic 8-ball, because there's still the man part. And I have worked with clients who can withstand, the tests that the elements present in their lives, and then their willingness to work on that. So BaZi is just a Pandora's box of goodness. So, yeah, it's nothing to be fearful of.
I'm so excited to take the course and get more in depth with it. You offer them, and I know you used to offer it in San Francisco. Do you still come up to the Bay Area to do classes, or is it now in LA?
I do, but I'm not sure if I have any upcoming classes in San Francisco. I think the next one may be somewhere in Miami. I can't remember.
That would be fun too.
Yeah, it's on my website. Every year we try to go to different locations, and it's so cool to have the students in BaZi, because I have a diverse group of students that come either because they're just curious and they want to learn it to help themselves and their families, but I also have students that are hypnotherapists and psychologists and Chinese medicine practitioners, and like yourself. So anytime you're in a position where you're interacting with people, I think that BaZi is such a fun way to better understand the conditions of human nature. And like what Master Lo says, if everybody learned BaZi, there would be more peace in the world.
Oh, I bet. I'll also leave a link to your website in the description below for anybody who's interested in taking your classes. Jen is a phenomenal teacher. She's amazing. It's easy to learn from her. She teaches very well. I definitely even want to take the Feng Shui class again, because I love learning the history of it. It's such a cool subject matter. So from my understanding, Feng Shui can help us maximize on our physical space, our earth luck. But does it help to shift that internal energy? And I think you touched upon it a little bit. It's more of a tool, but can it help one, even in just having awareness of the energies that are coming, the energies within themselves, can it help shift that internal energy, those internal beliefs? And maybe it's not beliefs, but how does it help shift one's?
Yeah, I think, some people have asked me before, you know, can I do feng shui secretly to someone's house, for example, without their knowing that I've feng shuied their home? And the answer to that is a soft yes, in a way, because I think that we're all intuitive. I believe that we're all intuitive, and we're all intuitively guided to being attracted to different areas in our home. So for example, you walk into a space and you can tell whether you get the heebie-jeebies or you feel very uplifted in a particular space, and feng shui just kind of validates your essence in terms of how you've reacted to that space. But I think that when people do apply feng shui, it does elevate it to some level of consciousness, of that awareness, to say, I am doing something about it. I am doing something to improve the energy of my space. But feng shui is a very subtle thing, because you can't necessarily ask your house, hey, how do you feel? So different from BaZi. BaZi is so tangible because you're interacting with the individual. But yes, when feng shui is done correctly, it does shift that energy. You can feel it in your body. You can feel it in your subconsciousness, even in terms of how you sleep. In the past, like maybe you don't have a restful sleep, it can shift that. You can start to notice that in your body, in your physical body, whether that's you starting to lose weight or the interaction that you have with your family members, because you're all made up of different elements contained in that space. And so, sure, absolutely, it can shift. And I think that when you add an element of awareness to that, it becomes an even more powerful tool for you.
Yeah. And what I've noticed in the work that I do with clients is, and what I've noticed is that the little things that are around, like even holding on to things from past relationships, like whether it's the guy's t-shirt you're sleeping in his PJs, like I tell my clients, like, let's donate that. Let's get that out of the home, because every time you see that, there is a subconscious reaction to that. And if what is anchored to that shirt is a negative feeling or positive feeling, and most likely it's probably going to be a negative feeling if the relationship didn't end on a good note, or you're no longer with that sweetie of yours. And that constant negative feeling that, even if it's for a split second, surges through us, it acts as like a spatial anchor. So even when we put it on, it's a physical anchor, and different anchors around the home can create more negative feelings or positive feelings depending on what it is. So I always say, be conscious of what's in your home. And I love what Marie Kondo does. It's like, pick something up and, does it have a good feeling or negative feeling? And good feeling, I'm going to keep it. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that because all animate as well as inanimate things carry energy. And so whatever you keep and surround yourself, of course, there's a psychological impact to that when you see it. And when you see it, it's very tangible, but there is that subconscious part that play into it, a memory or something that's stuck inside your body. And so, yes, it is very important to surround ourselves with things that we love, whether or not that is, that's the Western way or the classical way, doesn't matter, because everything that we have is energy. And so the example that you have with somebody still sleeping with their ex-boyfriend's t-shirt, and I think that says a lot in terms of what they're holding on to something, or whatever that might be. But yes, absolutely, I believe that we should, especially when you're doing a U-haul of your mental state, you can also do the same thing in terms of cleansing. So your feng shui, you can use that to understand the potentials, but then you should do some cleansing in order to clean out, not just energetically, but also the physical things that you keep inside your house.
Yeah. Thank you. I've recently gotten into space clearing, and I use like a pendulum and a dowser to see what areas of the home need to be cleared. And I even find that helps as well.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. I love all this
clearing
stuff.
is deeply rooted in so many like ancient cultures, South American and Native American. And so and of course you have house blessings that are rooted in different religions in terms, Tibetans and Buddhism and Catholics, they have house blessings. And so all of these things are fantastic tools. You know, the more we can incorporate that, I think the more intentional we are. And then you can have something very practical in terms of BaZi to understand, okay, now that I've done my man part, now I can understand my BaZi part so that I can align that. And then I have my Feng Shui part to align all three. Because in Chinese metaphysics, we emphasize on those three things because we say, the outcome of your life changes only when three things are present. Not 2 out of 3, not 1 out of 3. You know, so if your BaZi is good, your Feng Shui is good, and you've done your work, then of course you're definitely going to see a shift in your life, a significant shift, but not when one part is missing.
Definitely. Thank you. And the last question I have is, or statement, or however you want to look at it, is what are some tips that you can share with us now that we can do to shift our home, or for any of the people that are watching, so that they can bring in the love?
Yeah, you know, I think that, well, it's October, you know, for people like myself in our field, we're getting ready, we're gearing up to the new year. And also collectively as a population, we tend to do an overhaul at the end of the holiday coming into the new year, where we're setting new intentions and we're recalibrating our life, and we're blessed to have another year to do it all over again and maybe to do it better again. And I think that when the information comes out for the new year, there are some tips in terms of what items to do and how to manipulate your internal spaces so that you can address the incoming year's energy, so that you can proactively, whether that's to neutralize anything that could be a problematic area, or to enhance areas that are going to be prosperous and positive, that will be coming in the next couple of months.
Thank you. And just for people who are unfamiliar, because I thought in the beginning, like, you do your Feng Shui once and it's done, but that's not the case. It's every year in the beginning, like noticing, because the energy does shift.
Yes. So when we do Feng Shui, we calculate the natal chart for your house, which is its own birth chart. Just like you have a birthday, I have a birthday, your house also has a birthday. And so that we call that the base chart, which is the essence. So every space has their own essence. But what creates events in our lives are these incoming shifts, because energy is not static. It's constantly evolving and shifting. And so it's moving around in your space. And so sometimes you can feel, you hear stories of people say, oh, 1 year, everything was fantastic and great. And then the next year comes along and my AC broke down and my house flooded. And so when you calculate this, you understand, oh, the changing energy impacted, the base chart. It connected with the essence of the house. And so it created that event. And so every year, at the Chinese New Year celebration, when people, talk about the animal sign, and you want to learn about your horoscope, etc., there is also a segment in there that talks about how to address your house. And so every year we take part in taking care of the energy of our home, and to get us all set up for the new year.
Yeah. So you have the Feng Shui of the home that changes per year, or even BaZi changes per year.
People, yeah.
So I know for me personally, I always sign up with you in the beginning of the year. We do the Feng Shui assessment of the home and the BaZi.
Yes.
And
yes.
I love it.
Just like you have your ups and your downs,
Yeah.
Your house also has your ups and your downs. So that's why Feng Shui is not fixed, because energy is constantly moving. And so the more you can intimately learn about your space, then you can proactively address it ahead of time.
And what I also love about it is because it is understanding that energy, and it's not about predicting. It's more like, oh, the energy is favorable right now. Here's the best ways to utilize that energy.
Yes.
Like I remember last year when we did my BaZi, you said like the fall is a great time to be writing, which I've been doing more of.
Good.
And it's nice to know that even intuitively I felt that. And it's nice to know that it's supported, and that, I don't need to feel like I need to be doing, X, Y, and Z instead. Yeah. And that actually what I'm feeling is quite useful for me now in this energy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And one last thing I wanted to ask you, because I'm just curious. I've noticed in myself, even when I was little, I used to move my furniture around. And now that I live in a smaller space, it's kind of hard to do that. And I know that like with classical Chinese Feng Shui, we have cures that we place to kind of balance out the energies. And I noticed when I was younger, I loved moving the furniture around because it shifted the energy for me. Sometimes it was good and sometimes it was bad. And I started to kind of get an intuitive sense for, okay, I don't place my bed in the corner of the room at an angle. I learned that in your class later. So how does, because I know that it felt good to shift things around. And I know that there are some people who want a fresh start, so they'll move their furniture around. And could you talk a little bit more about how that is a useful tool or not?
I think moving your furniture around is probably a little bit extreme.
Mm-hmm. Like don't move the couch.
Moving bigger pieces, but
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about addressing the annual energy or even the monthly energy and we're moving different pieces around, I think that's the same concept, because you're intuitively feeling like, oh, I need to put something here. I need to change the direction of my chair, or I need to change the direction of my desk and things like that. So I do believe that there is some correlation with you personally feeling the energy and you're trying to correct your spaces. But, if you enjoy doing that, that's great, as long as you know what you're doing. But for normal, for normal average houses, I think just the shifting and moving of different small items that are very subtle also works just as well.
Yeah. And we're adding pops of color and stuff like that. Yeah. I tell you, do not put your bed in the corner of the room. I had nightmares. Yeah. And I would move my furniture. I wanted to move my bed. I moved it from one wall to the other wall. And one night I woke up, like after I'd moved my bed, I had this nightmare, and I was like at 3 a.m, I was like, I'm moving my bed back.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't think my neighbors appreciated it, but it's okay. They're nice. We get along. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for sharing your wisdom this morning. And you're just a phenomenal teacher. And I'm so excited to retake the Feng Shui class and also take the BaZi class. And I'll leave more information about what Jen does in the description below for anyone who's interested. And thank you so much.
I just want to say, Jessica, I'm very proud of you and what you're doing. It's I think you took my class, I don't even remember, 2015, 2016 or something like that. And you were definitely on top of the game in the Feng Shui class. And so it's been a lot of pleasure for me to see you evolve from that and continue to expand on what you're doing and in being of service to others, particularly people who are looking for love in their life. And so good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, this work is, it's so much fun, and I'm so grateful I get to do it.
Yes. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Well, have a lovely fall, and I'll be talking to you in the new year.
Yay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great night or day. Bye.